Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be looking at this film from 1964 called The Creeping Terror.
Okay.
Why is this movie considered one of the worst films ever made? And
Right.
we're gonna dive into that.
Exactly. And is it truly deserving of that title, or, is there something else going on there?
Yeah, so imagine it's 1964.
Okay.
The Cold War is, raging.
Yeah.
The space race is happening.
Yeah.
America's fascinated by all things space.
Right.
And monster movies are all the rage.
Yes.
And then comes this film, The Creeping Terror, and it's about this giant slug-like alien that crash lands in this small California town
Oh, wow.
and proceeds to eat everyone in sight.
Oh, my goodness. That's terrifying.
It's like a B-movie version of The Blob,
Okay.
but with a lot more character.
Character is one way to put it.
Yeah.
The thing that I find so interesting is this movie is considered one of the worst ever made.
Yeah.
But it still has garnered this, cult following. You know what I mean? So there's something there.
There's something there.
That resonates with people enough to make it watchable, I guess.
Yeah, so let's start by talking about the guy who made this film.
Okay.
The enigmatic Vic Savage.
Vic
Savage. And he's listed as the director, producer, star, and editor
Oh, wow.
of this film.
Quadruple threat.
That's a lot of hats to wear.
Yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Vic Savage isn't even his real name.
Gasp.
His real name was Arthur Nelson White.
Arthur Nelson White.
And rumor has it that he was using an alias because of some legal troubles.
Oh.
And this just adds another layer to this whole story.
Yeah, it's like this air of mystery,
Yeah, like a real-life Hollywood mystery.
Yes.
Like, where does the fiction end and where does reality begin?
Exactly.
And speaking of, blurring those lines, his wife, Lois, later wrote a tell-all book about their life together,
Oh, wow.
although she used pseudonyms.
Oh.
So again, it's like, who knows what's real and what's not.
Right. It just gets deeper and deeper.
Yeah. But this all just adds to, the intrigue surrounding the creeping terror and the man who brought it to life.
Oh, for sure.
So, all right, let's go behind the scenes.
Okay.
The making of the creeping terror is really a story in itself.
Oh, really?
Full of twists and turns that are almost as entertaining as the film itself.
I love that.
It was plagued with problems from day one.
Okay.
I mean, you probably heard the stories. The original monster costume was allegedly stolen.
Oh, no.
So they had to use a last-minute replacement.
Oh, my goodness.
And the placement has been described as a clumsy shag rug.
A clumsy shag rug? What?
It just adds to the film's charm.
It's like they took that limitation and turned it into, its own thing.
Exactly. And speaking of scrappy, it wasn't just the monster costume that was a challenge.
Oh, really?
They lost sound reels. They had to change filming locations from the scenic Lake Tahoe to a muddy pond at Spawn Ranch.
Oh, wow. So, a major downgrade?
Major downgrade.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like every step of the way something went wrong.
Oh, my goodness.
But they persevered, which, kind of makes you admire their dedication.
It speaks to a certain, stick-to-it-ness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That drive.
It's like they were determined to bring this creature to life no matter what.
They had a vision.
They had a vision.
And they were going to see it through.
And all of these production woes actually led to one of the film's most infamous features,
Okay.
the narration.
The narration.
Because so much of the original sound was unusable, they brought in Larry Burrell, this seasoned radio announcer,
Okay.
to narrate the entire film.
The entire film?
The entire film.
Wow.
He talks over existing dialogue, he explains what's happening, and he even fills those long stretches of silence.
Oh, my goodness.
It's this bizarre mix of dry wit and over-explanation.
So it's almost like he's another character in the film.
Oh, absolutely.
The narrator is like a character.
Like he's determined to make sure the audience understands what's going on, even if it means spelling out the absolutely obvious.
It sounds like it could be a study in unintentional comedy.
Yeah.
This clash between serious delivery and just absolutely ridiculous content.
Right.
Do we know if he knew
That's a great question.
if he was in on the joke or not?
Yeah, and that's a question we might never know the answer to.
Right.
But it definitely adds a whole other layer to the film's appeal, even if it wasn't intentional.
I mean, yeah, was this just incompetent filmmaking or is there something else there?
Right.
Because it's achieved cult status. It was on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Right.
So there has to be something more to it than just being laughably bad.
Yeah. MST3K is practically a rite of passage for cult films.
Yeah.
So what is it about the creeping terror that elevates it beyond just bad filmmaking?
Right.
Is it the sincerity?
Yeah.
The earnestness of it all?
Like, were they trying to make a serious monster movie?
Yeah, I think they were.
But they just missed the mark.
They just completely missed the mark in a spectacularly entertaining way.
In a spectacularly entertaining way. It's like watching someone build a house of cards. You know what I mean?
I love that.
You know it's going to fall.
Yeah.
But you're like, wow, look at them go.
And you know what else? The creeping terror, for all its flaws, or maybe because of them, acts as a fascinating time capsule of 1960s low-budget filmmaking.
Yeah.
It captures this moment when independent filmmakers were willing to take risks,
Great.
push boundaries,
Yeah.
and try to make something truly unique, even if it meant falling flat on their faces.
It gives us a glimpse into that world.
Yeah.
That time, you know.
Yeah, it really does.
The filmmaking.
Yeah, and it reminds us that, filmmaking, especially during that time,
Yeah.
was this blend of passion,
Yeah.
experimentation,
Sure.
and, let's be honest, a little bit of luck.
Of course.
It wasn't always about technical perfection. It was about the drive to create,
Yeah.
to tell a story,
Yeah.
even if it meant using a shag rug as a monster costume.
And that rawness, that unpolished energy,
Yeah.
I think that's something that continues to appeal to modern audiences.
Mhm.
You know, they're
Yeah.
so used to everything being so slick and,
Yeah, CGI, everything's perfect.
yeah, CGI,
Yeah.
and there's something refreshing about something that's just so clearly made with heart.
With heart, even if it was misguided.
Misguided heart,
Yeah,
but still.
but still heart.
Yeah.
So we've laid the groundwork. We've kind of explored the film's creation
Yeah.
and talked about its unexpected appeal.
Okay.
But now I want to go beyond the surface
All right.
and really unpack what this film might be trying to tell us.
Okay.
Like, was this just a goofy monster flick?
Yeah.
Or could it be saying something about, the anxieties and fascinations of 1960s America?
Okay.
Could this clumsy shag rug monster actually be a metaphor for something deeper?
Interesting. Welcome back to our deep dive into the creeping terror.
Okay, so before we go any further,
Yeah.
let's do a quick recap.
Okay.
So we've established that The Creeping Terror,
Yeah.
even though it's considered one of the worst films ever made,
Yeah.
it has this certain something
Yeah.
that has earned it a cult following.
It's earned it a place in history,
It's got a spot on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
All right, exactly.
And we talked about the production,
Yeah.
which was just basically overcoming obstacle after obstacle.
Like a masterclass.
Yeah, they lost costumes, they lost sound reels.
Yeah.
They downgraded their filming location.
Yeah.
But they still managed to release a movie.
They did it. They did it.
But now let's get to the heart of the matter.
Okay.
Is The Creeping Terror simply a goofy monster flick?
Right.
Or could it be something more?
Okay.
Could it be a reflection of deeper anxieties and fascinations of 1960s America?
Like a subtext.
A subtext.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's put on our analytical hats for a minute here.
Okay.
It's 1964.
Okay.
The Cold War is going on.
Right.
The threat of nuclear annihilation is looming large.
Yeah.
And the space race has got everybody looking to the skies,
Right.
wondering what else is out there.
Yeah.
And then, boom, this giant, shapeless alien creature shows up.
Mine just starts eating people.
Yeah, it just starts eating people,
I mean.
like indiscriminately.
Yeah.
It's hard not to see the parallel.
That's like right there on the surface. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like the film is saying, hey, what if the threat isn't just some far-off ideology?
Right.
What if it's a literal monster from outer space?
What if it's right here?
Yeah, and the way it consumes everything.
Everything.
Like indiscriminately.
Sounds
Yeah, like how people viewed communism back then.
Right.
It just consumes everything in its path.
Yeah, it's like that ultimate other,
Yeah.
The ultimate fear of the other.
Yeah, and it's not just the monster itself.
Okay.
It's the human response to it.
Right, how we deal with it or
Yeah,
how we
yeah.
don't deal with it.
How we failed to deal with it.
Yeah.
It adds another layer to this whole Cold War allegory.
Oh, really?
You got the sheriff,
Yeah.
the scientist,
Right.
the military,
Well, all the people you would think would have this figured out.
the figures of authority,
Right.
and they're constantly like making these bad decisions, second-guessing themselves,
They don't know what to do.
and even resorting to these questionable tactics.
It's almost like the film is like a satire of like
Mhm.
authority.
Yeah, and it resonates even today.
Yeah.
This idea that, those in power might not have all the answers.
They might not know what's best,
Yeah, they might even be making things worse.
And this is all happening
Yeah.
as the Vietnam War is escalating, as the
Yeah.
civil rights movement is gaining momentum,
Yeah.
this time of immense social and political upheaval.
Yeah. So you've got all this turmoil happening in the real world,
Right.
and then you've got the creeping terror, this B movie,
Yeah.
this monster flick
Yeah.
that maybe unintentionally captures
The zeitgeist
the zeitgeist
of the time.
of the era, yeah.
It just kind of reflects all these anxieties and uncertainties.
And the way the film ends,
yeah.
it's not exactly this triumphant victory.
Yeah, not really.
They defeat the monster.
You know, like, at what cost? You know?
But at what cost? And there's this lingering sense of unease.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the scientist warns that the creature's home planet might still be out there,
Oh, God.
even as he's dying.
It's like, it's not over.
Yeah, it's like, we might have won this battle,
Yeah.
but the war is far from over.
You know, and the sheriff fails to disable that alien spacecraft's transmitter.
Right.
Like, they could be back, you know?
The possibility of contact is still open,
Yeah.
which again ties back into that Cold War mentality.
Yes.
That constant fear of what might be lurking around the corner.
Always looking over your shoulder.
Yeah. But let's not forget the sheer entertainment factor of this film.
It's fun.
It's a bad movie,
It's so bad, it's good.
but it's also hilarious.
Yeah.
The clunky monster,
I mean, that shag rug monster, come on.
the over-the-top narration,
Oh, yeah, Larry Burr.
the ridiculous dialogue.
It's all there. It's all there.
It's like the film is in on the joke.
Yeah.
It's like it's inviting the audience to laugh along with it.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, those old educational films we used to watch in school?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
They're trying to be serious, but the delivery is so stilted.
Yes.
The visuals are so dated.
Like, you can't help but laugh.
It's unintentionally hilarious.
It is. It really is.
And that's what makes the creeping terror so enduring.
It's timeless.
It doesn't take itself too seriously.
Yeah.
It embraces its flaws,
Yeah.
its imperfections.
And in doing so, it becomes something more.
Yeah, it becomes this cultural touchstone.
It's so bad. It's good.
So bad it's good.
You know what I mean?
We've talked a lot about the film's possible subtext,
Right?
you know, this reflection of the anxieties of the time.
The Cold War.
But what about the man behind it all?
Yeah.
Vic Savage.
This mysterious figure.
What can the creeping terror tell us about him?
About his motivations, his ambitions.
Yeah. All right, so welcome back to our deep dive into the creeping terror.
Okay.
We've explored the film's historical context.
Yeah.
We talked about, you know, the unintentional comedy.
Right.
And even its potential, you know, to be like a Cold War allegory.
Right.
But now let's turn our attention to the man behind the monster,
Okay.
the enigmatic Vic Savage.
The man, the myth, the legend.
As we mentioned earlier, Vic Savage was an alias
Yes.
used by Arthur Nelson White.
Arthur Nelson White.
And the reasons for using this alias
Yeah.
are still kind of a mystery.
A little murky.
Yeah. Some people speculate it was legal troubles,
Yeah, could be.
which just adds to the intrigue.
Oh, for sure.
But what we do know is that this seems to be his only film.
His only foray into the world of cinema.
Yeah, which is fascinating in itself.
It really is.
Like he poured his heart and soul, and maybe someone else's money,
Right.
into this one project,
And then poof, he's gone.
vanished.
Yeah.
It's like he burst onto the scene,
Yeah.
created this cinematic anomaly, and then disappeared into the shadows.
It makes you wonder, what was his motivation?
I know, right?
Like, what was he going for?
What was he thinking?
What was the goal?
Some have even called him a con man,
A con man.
that he was using the film to swindle investors.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, remember how he used his connection to screenwriter Sterling Silliphant
Okay. Yeah.
to attract investors,
Yeah.
promising them, you know, small parts in the film
Right.
for a couple $100.
Like a pay-to-play kind of thing.
Yeah. And he actually followed through on some of that.
He did.
He cast some of these investors
Interesting.
in minor roles.
Wow.
So was he a savvy entrepreneur
Yeah.
or a cunning manipulator?
Or both,
Or both, maybe a little bit of both.
you know?
But regardless of his methods, you got to admire his determination.
Right. He had this vision. Yeah. And he saw it through.
Despite all the setbacks, all the chaos.
Yeah. It's like that saying, you know,
Yeah.
it's better to have tried and failed
Right.
than to never have tried at all.
Exactly. And you know what? In Savage's case,
Yeah.
the failure is debatable.
I mean, the movie is famous.
The creeping terror
Yeah.
has achieved a level of fame,
Notoriety.
yeah, or infamy
Yeah.
that most films can only dream of.
Right. It's like a household name almost.
Yeah, it's become this cultural phenomenon,
Like as.
this cult classic
Right.
that continues to, you know, entertain
Ooh, that.
and baffle audiences today.
Exactly.
So maybe in a way, he did achieve a kind of success.
he did something right.
Yeah, even if it wasn't what he initially set out to do.
Right.
It's a success that defies like traditional metrics.
Yes.
It's not about, box office numbers
Yeah.
or critical acclaim.
Yeah.
It's about, creating something something that resonates with people.
Yeah, that sparks a conversation, you know?
Yeah, and sparks debate, even decades later.
Decades later, we're still talking about it.
And that's what Vic Savage,
Man.
the myth, the legend,
Yeah.
managed to do.
He created something.
He created something truly unique that really stands as like a testament to the unpredictable nature of art
Yeah.
and the enduring power of a good story.
I mean, a bad story.
Or a bad story.
Well, you know,
bad.
whatever. It's a story.
So what can we take away from all of this?
Yeah.
What's the legacy of the creeping terror and the man who created it?
Right.
It's a film that defies easy categorization.
Yeah.
You know,
It's hard to put it in a box.
it's a time capsule of an era.
Uh-huh.
It's a reflection of societal anxieties.
Yeah.
And it's a testament to like the sheer willpower of its creator.
To Vic Savage's will.
It's a film that invites us to laugh, to think,
To appreciate the absurd.
and to appreciate the beauty of the absurd.
Exactly.
So if you're looking for, you know, a cinematic masterpiece,
Right.
a film that's going to, you know, challenge your intellect,
Make you cry.
a movie to tears, then The Creeping Terror is probably not for you.
Maybe skip this one.
But if you're open to something different,
Yeah.
something that will make you laugh,
Make you cringe.
make you cringe,
Yeah.
maybe even scratch your head in bewilderment,
In confusion?
then I highly recommend seeking this film out.
Give it a shot.
Go into it with an open mind.
Oh, yeah.
Embrace the absurdity.
Have fun with it.
And you might just find yourself enjoying the ride.
I think you will.
And who knows, you might even learn a thing or two
Yeah.
about the strange and wonderful world of 1960s B-movie filmmaking.
That's right.
And the man who dared to, you know,
Yeah.
make a monster out of a shag rug.
Out of a shag rug.
Until next time, keep diving deep.